Hello everyone, this is Ankit Jain. I welcome you all to my channel Tech Journey with Ankit. Today is day 36 of our LWC Bootcamp. In today's session, we will explore the To-Do Manager app that we have created in our previous session. If you folks recall, in our latest sessions of the bootcamp, we have understood the use of wire adapters where we discussed in detail how we can create the record, update the record, delete the record as well by creating a lightning web component. Now, in the past, we have created one application that is the To-Do Manager application. I have put the link of the part 1 in the video description so that you can refer from there. So what we're going to do today is we will extend that To-Do Manager application with the help of wire adapter. Let me give you a quick walkthrough about this To-Do adapter. But before that, let me put my quick introduction. My name is Ankit Jain. I do have more than 10 years of experience in the Salesforce ecosystem, where I got an opportunity to work on the different clouds of the Salesforce, including the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, CPQ, billing, as well as on the Financial Services Cloud. I do have majority of my experience on the LWC as well as on the integrations. In case you folks likes to connect with me, you can connect with me on these different channels. I have put the links of all these channels in the video description. So to get started, let me put a quick walkthrough about the app that we have created in the past. This is what we have done in the part 1 where we have created this to-do manager application, but we are not storing the data anywhere into the database in this application. We are only allowing the user to create the app. For example, here I go and create the app, create the task, and the task will be available here, right? And after that, user can go and mark the task as completed, and after that we are moving the task from to-do list to completed list. Like this, user can go and create the multiple task as well, like this, right? So user can go and create the multiple tasks and keep a track. But the kind of a disadvantage of this application that we have created in the past is whenever the user go and refresh the page or user go logged down and logged in again, we are not storing this task anywhere. So as we have learned few concepts from the part 1 that we have covered in the past, like we have learned the concept of wire decorators, we have learned the concept of how we can use the wire decorator, wire adapter, how we can retrieve the data from the apex, right? So we will use all those concepts and try to make this app more logical. In case you guys are following me in the bootcamp, to create this to-do manager application to save the data, you have to go and create one custom object. What I have done here is I have created one custom object as the task manager. Okay, it's a custom object that I have created in my org, and in this custom object I do have few fields. I do recommend you pause the video and create the fields in case you are following the bootcamp, right? So what all different fields that I have created? Definitely one is the task manager name, right? As I have to store the name of the task, so I and that is the field that we are getting while creating the object of field name as name. Second field is the task date, which is of date type. Third field is the again completed date, where I will put the on which date the task has been completed. So this is the date where the task has been assigned, and this is the date when the task has been completed. And another custom field that I have created here is the is completed. It is of type checkbox. So with the help of this field, we can track whether the task is completed or not completed. So this is the kind of a schema that we have to follow to make this to-do application more powerful to store the data. Okay, so coming back to the code again, or let me go back to the deck first. So just a quick revision. This is what we have learned in the past. We have understood how we can create the record by using the wire adapter. We have understood how we can update the record with the help of wire adapter. And we have also discussed how we can delete the record with the help of wire adapter. There are few more concepts that we will be learning today in addition to these wire adapters. So stay tuned, folks. Let me take you to the app. Uh, yeah, let me close this. So this is the component that we have created in the part 1. Let me give a quick walkthrough what we have done in this component before we go and take this further. Let me start giving a walkthrough from the HTML file. So what we have done here is we have created one component, and in that component we have divided our application into 3 different columns. You can see that we do have these 3 different columns: add new task, to do list, and the completed item. In the first column, I have put the inputs that we have to take from the user. like the enter task as well as the set end date. And we do have the two buttons, reset button to reset the complete inputs, and we do have the add task button to add the new task record. So this is what we do have in the first column. In the second column, what we are doing here is we are loading all the records that user are adding here. So whenever you go and add the record, immediately the records will be loaded in this to-do list section. So from here, user can go and mark the record as completed or mark the record as deleted as well. It's completely up to the user how they want to do with the task. So as soon as they can go and mark the record as completed, what we are doing here is we are moving the records from incompleted items to another section, that is the completed item section. So here we are displaying all the completed items. Again, if you folks recall, we have also implemented the drag and drop functionality as well in our component, so that user can go and drag the task from here and drop it here. So that's also we have implemented in the past. Right? So what we're going to do today is, for example, if I go and refresh this page, you will see that whatever the task that we have created will not be available. So what we have to do here is, with the help of wire adapters, we have to create those tasks. We have to create those tasks and store that task under this task manager custom object. To do that, what we will do, whenever we have to create the record, we use the create record wire adapter. Again, a quick revision how to use that. You have to use the create record. In the create record, you have to pass the record input. This record input have two properties. One is the API name and second one is the field. Again, you have to pass the API name in which you have to create the record and the fields that you have to populate. Again, in the fields property, you have to populate all the fields that you want to populate while creating the record. And always remember, whenever you are performing the create record operation or update record or delete record, it will always return the promise. So we will apply the same analogy in our component. So here we do have the add task button. Let me go to the first section one more time. So here, what we do have here is, as soon as the user have put the inputs, right, we do have this method called add task handler. So let's go and check what we are currently doing in this add task handler. So if I go here and search for this method, you can see that what we are doing in this method is, we are validating whether the user have entered the task end date or not. In case the task end date is missing, then we are populating the today's date as the task date, right? And after that, we are validating the inputs from the user. And in case we are getting the successful validation, what we are doing here is we are populating the data in this incomplete task array. And after that, what we are doing, we are loading that data in our array. So rather than we go and store the data temporarily into the array, what we will do now here is we will go and comment this section, and now we go and store that record in the task manager custom object that we have created. So before I go any further, what I am doing here is I am commenting this logic, and I will go and use the create record method. So to create the record, as I said, what we have to do here is we have to use the create record adapter. Again, I am using the IntelliSense. That's why the import operation will be automatic for me. In case you guys are not using the IntelliSense, make sure that you are importing the create record from the UI record API. So I am using the create record, and in that create record, I am passing the inputs here. That is the record input. Let me go here. You can see here we have to pass one input as the record input. Let me go and put here the record input. Right? How this record input consists of? This record input, it consists of two properties. One is the API name and second one is the fields. So what is the API name of the object that we have created? We have to put that API name of the object here. Again, before I go and put the API name of the object, I have to go and import all those different objects as well as fields, because down the line I have to go and use it. So let me do the same thing. Task manager is the object. From Salesforce slash schema slash task manager underscore underscore c. It's a custom object that I have to import. So that's what I am putting here. Now, the next one is that I have to also go and import all the fields. So let me put here the task name field, and I have to import that. Let me go to the schema and take the field name. That is nothing but the name. Let me also go and confirm the name of the custom object. Okay, it is task underscore underscore manager underscore underscore C. So you have to make sure that we are using the exact name here. Now let me go and add the remaining fields. Remaining field I do have here is the task date. So let me again go and repeat it, and I'm adding the task date here. Another field that I am adding here is the completed date. Another field that I am adding here is the whether the task is completed or not by using this is completed flag. So I am adding all the different fields that I have created on my object is completed field, right? So what I have to do whenever I have to perform the create record operation, let me again go down here in the API name. I have to pass the API name. So let me go and put here task manager object dot object API name. Now the next thing that I have to populate here is the fields section. So let me go and define the fields. Let input fields is equal to an empty object, and now in this empty object whatever the fields that we have to populate, I will go and put all those different fields. So first field that I have to populate while creating the record is the task name. So here I go and put input fields followed by the task name field dot field API name, and whatever the task name that we do have. So let's say in my scenario the task name is the, so as soon as I'm getting the inputs from the user, I'm storing the task name in this dot task name. So here I'm populating the this dot task name. Similarly, I have to also go and populate the task date as well. So task date field, and I'm storing the task date in the task date field. So that's what I am doing. I'm populating the task date. Third field that I have to go and populate is the incompleted flag as false. So let me go and do that as well. So let me go and check the field name for the incompleted task is completed dot field API name, and in this one I am populating the value as false. Considering a checkbox field, it does have only two valid values, true and false. Here I am populating the value as false, right? So my record input is ready. Now let me go and pass this record input, and whenever the create operation has been done, as I said, what it will return, it will always return the promise. So let me go and handle the promise. So here I go and put then result console dot log record created successfully, and here I am printing the result as well, right? The record is created successfully, and here I am printing the result. Now the next thing what I have to do here is, soon as the record is created, I have to also show the toast message to the user. To display that toast message, what I am doing here is, to display that toast message, let me go to the component library and look for the toast message event. That's what we do whenever we have to display any toast messages. We go to the component library and look for the platform toast event. So same thing I am doing here again. Platform show toast event. So what we have to do here is we have to go and import the show toast event from here. Let me go here and import it. Right, and after that the next thing that we have to do here is we have to go and show the toast message. But here, rather than I go and show the toast message as an hard-coded message, as I have to use this method multiple times, so I will be creating a more generic method here. So let me go down and create one more generic method where I can pass the inputs to the user, and accordingly the message can be created. So I am passing here the title, uh, message, as well as the variant, right? So rather than I go and display all these static values, whatever the values that will come up, I will go and display that values here. So because we can use the same toast event to display the creation, updation as well as the deletion. So that's why I'm doing it. And the third property that I want to use here is the variant property. We already discussed multiple times in detail about all these different properties that we use to display the message. So this is the method that I have created to display the message. Now in this method, I can go and pass the inputs as soon as my record creation has been done. So let me go and call this method show toast, and I'm passing the details here. Let me pass the title as success. Here I am putting the details as record or the task created successfully. And the third variant that I am passing here is the success. Again, in the variant, you have to make sure that you are putting into the small case because variant is case sensitive, right? So we are following it, and our record is created. Let's go and validate till here whether the record is inserted successfully or not. And after that, we will see how we can take the next step. So let me go and deploy this. Let me go and refresh the component. Let me do the hard refresh. So here I am putting the task detail as the task 1, and here I am putting the 26 and clicking on the add task. You can see that the task record is created successfully. Only thing that we have to take care is as soon as the task has been created, we have to clear those fields. That is the first, and after that we have to load the task from the object, right? Because as of now we have created the task in the object. Like if I go to the query editor and execute this query, you can see that the task has been created, whatever the inputs that we have passed. Right? We have to get this data from the Apex and we have to put it under the to-do list. And also we have to clear the inputs. To clear the inputs, we have already created one method in our session 1. That method that I have commented here is the this dot reset handler. So what I am doing here is I am calling this method here to reset all the inputs. Now the next thing that I will to do here is I have to load the data, whatever the record has been created. To do that, I am creating an Apex class and naming the Apex class here as to do controller or to do app controller. This is my Apex class, and in this Apex class we will fetch the data and get both types of task, that is the incompleted task as well as the completed task. To do that, we have to go and create the aura enabled methods. Why aura enabled methods? Because we have to call this from the LWC, and here I am making the cacheable equal to true because I am going to call them with the help of wire decorator. And let me put the method name here as public static, and here I have to return the list of task manager underscore underscore c, and here I am putting the method name as load all incomplete records. Here I am putting the method name as load all incomplete records. Now here let me go and write down the query to get those records. So I had to get the select, let's say ID, name, I had to get the task, date, I had to get the, yeah, that's all, right? We only need these three things from task manager underscore underscore c, right? We need only these things from the task manager underscore underscore c. But again, here I have to make sure that I am getting only those records as per the logged in user, because now we are storing the data into the database. So every user will log in and every user will go and store their own record. So when the user come back to the screen again, we have to show the records of the user that they have created. So how we can do that? By putting the filter criteria. So here I am putting the filter criteria where owner ID is equal to, and how we can dynamically access the logged in user detail by using the user info class of the Salesforce, and here I am putting the get user ID, right? And another thing here is I have to only get the incompleted task record. To get the incompleted task record, what we have to do, the next thing is we have to get the incompleted task record. To get the incompleted task, we have to use the another custom field that we have created, that is the is completed. So again, I'm using that field, and here I'm passing the value of that field as the false, so that I will get only those fields created by the user. Again, as this is an apex and we are getting the data from the apex, so we have to also take care of the security. So to take care of the security, here I am putting the with user mode, and whatever the records that we are getting, I have to sort those records based on the task date in the ascending order. So I am also adding the order by clause here, right? So whatever the records that we are getting, that record will be sorted here, right? I believe my query looks good. Whatever the records that we do have, it looks good to me, and we are returning the all incompleted task records here. Now similarly, what we have to do here is we have to go and let me go and format this. Sorry, I'm just trying to format this. It doesn't look good. Format document. Okay, somehow the formatting is not working. Okay, let's go and try to create another method which will return. Okay, it done. So what we have to do here is we have to go and create another method, and that method will return me the completed records. Okay, so what I am doing here is here I am getting all the completed records, but in addition to other dates, or let me have this date only thing that I have to do here is whatever the records that I am getting here, I have to sort those records by this completed date. As I do have here completed date, so I want to show the latest task which has been completed by the user on the top. So I am sorting the records based on the completed date here. Another thing that I have to change here is I have to get all the tasks which are completed. So I am setting this is completed flag value to true. So for the logged in user, whatever the task has been completed, I am getting all those details from here, right? So my apex class looks good. I do have I do have my two methods. First method will return me all the incompleted records, and the second method will return me all the complete records. Now what I have to do here is whenever the component is loading, I have to call these methods. So again, to call these methods from our controller, we have to again go and import both these methods. So I'm importing this method one after the other. Salesforce apex to do app controller load all complete records. Okay, this should be incomplete. Let me put here load all incomplete record. Okay, and the next method that I have to go and import is the load all complete record. So let me go and import that method as well. In this way, what I have done, I have imported both the methods that we have created. Now we have to make a call to both these methods. Again, as soon as the component is loading, we have to make this call. So I am doing this with the help of wire decorator, and as I have to use the wire decorator, I have to make sure that I am importing the wire decorator from the LWC module. Right now here I am putting the wire, and I am calling these methods one after the other. So this is the first method that I am calling, and again I cannot use the output the way I am getting to display that on the UI, because uh, on my UI currently I am displaying the output in the form of incompleted task array. So whatever the output that I am getting, I have to convert that output in the form of my incomplete task. So let me go and do that as well. Again, here I have to format the data as per the user inputs. So what we do, we go and use the function. So let me put here load all wire uh, incomplete records. Make sure that here you do have the incomplete record method, right? And here whatever the output that we are getting, I am putting that output, and let me go and do this here. So here I go and check if I am getting the data, then I am putting that output in this incomplete task. Before that, let me go and log that data, incomplete task records, and here I do have my data. Similarly, in case I am getting any error, so what I will do, I will go and log those errors as well. So console.log complete task records, and here I am putting the error. Now, whatever the data that we have received, we have to format that data in this incomplete task form. So to do that, what we will do, we will go and iterate over the data and convert it, because if you scroll down, this is how our incomplete task array was look like. It does have these two properties, right? So we have to also go and prepare the data something like this, right? So for the reference, I am just printing it here. So I had to go and populate that data in this incomplete task array. It does have the two properties. And currently I do have my data available in this data. So how we can do that? So we have to store that data in the this dot incomplete task. Let me go and put it here is equal to. So data dot map. Again, I do have the current item because I have to iterate it one after the other. And as we have to convert it into the array of objects, we have discussed that in the past, we have to get that surrounded in the round bracket. And here what I have to put, I have to put these two properties. One is the task name, and second, sorry, one is the task name, and second is the task date. So where I do have the task name, right? If I start iterating over the current item, I do have my task name in the current item dot name, because here from here I am getting my task name. So I do have that here, and I do have my task date available in the task underscore date. So let me go and put here current item dot task underscore date. Right? So this is how our incomplete task array will be created. Let me also go and log this. I'm just logging this so that in case we are getting any error, it will be easy for us to go and troubleshoot. So incomplete task array, and this is where I am putting the incomplete task array. Right? Now, similar thing we have to do it for the complete task as well. Now let me go and remove this because the job of that part has been done. So I removed the comment section. Now whatever the things that we have done for the incomplete record, we have to do the exact same thing for the complete as well. So again, I am repeating the complete block. Only thing that I am changing here is the method name. Now here I am putting the load all complete record, changing the wired method name again. Here I am putting the wired method name as wire underscore complete record. Change this text to complete task record. Again, this time, whatever the data that we are getting, we have to store that data into the complete task array, right? Again, we have to perform the similar kind of an iteration, similar kind of a fields that we have to populate, but this time we have to use the complete task array here. And let me go and put here the C again. As we are storing the data in the complete task, let me go and populate that into the complete task. This is how what we have done. We have loaded the data from the Apex and populated in the object along with the properties that we require. Task name as well as the task date. Now the next thing that we have to do here is uh, we have to also go and do some changes in the HTML file to read those records. So to do that, let me navigate to the first section, right, where we are loading the incomplete task. So as of now we are using the index, right, to identify the current data item. Everywhere we are using the index. Now we have to use the id, right, because we already have the id. So what we will do here is we will go and put one more property here, and let me put that property name as the task id. Whatever the id that we are getting, we will also populate that task id, because we need that id to identify the unique record. So I am putting here one more property as the task id, and here again I am doing the exact same thing. I am putting the one more property as the task id to identify the unique record. Now again, if I started scrolling down, here you can see I am using the uh, task name. So what I have to do here is, rather than I go and use the task name, now I do have the unique ID. So I'm using that unique ID here, current task.id. Now let me go and put the current task.id everywhere we do have the index. So everywhere we are dealing with the index, like here on the drag item, we are dealing with the index on the data item. So I have replaced that with the task ID. Here again we do have the index. Again I am replacing that with the task ID. Here again we do have the index, so I am again replacing that with the task id, right? So everywhere we do have the reference of that index, now we are changing it to task ID now because we do have the more unique parameter now. So I have done the changes in the first block, right? So there are three locations where I have done the changes. First under the data item, second on the lightning button delete, and third one on the lightning button check. Right? So this part has been done. Now moving towards the third column, because on the third column also we are loading the array. Sorry, let me go and minimize it. This is the one we are also iterating over the array. So what we will do here again, rather than we go and iterate over the records by using the task name, here again I am changing back to task ID. Right? On the third column we do have only one location where we are referring the task name or the index. So I have changed that with the task ID. Right? That is the only change that we have done on the HTML file. Let's go and deploy this and validate whether the records are getting loaded successfully or not on our UI. So let me go and deploy this. Meanwhile, let me check if we do have any questions. Folks, if you do have any question, you can always let me know. So my changes are deployed here successfully. Let me go to the org, refresh the page. You can see that whatever the task that we have created, right, in our object, we do have one task. That task is coming up here successfully, right? So whatever the task that we have created, that task is coming up here successfully, right? Now, pay close attention what I am doing now. So here I go and try to create another task. Okay, I am creating another task here, and let me go and click here the tomorrow's date for the task, and I'm adding that task. You can see that my task has been created, but this list is not refreshed. You can see that my task is created. If I go to the org, refresh the grid, you can see that now there are two tasks available. But at the runtime, my grid is not refreshed. If I go and refresh the page, definitely it will show me the two tasks. But as soon as I am creating the task, it is not showing me the newly created task. Pay close attention one more time. So here I go and create a task 3. You will see that. Let me go and put the 28 add task. You can see the task is created, but the task is not rendered here. However, the task is available in my database. Right. So whenever you do have that kind of a scenario, whenever you are performing the DML operations on the record and you are iterating over those records manually and that record is not replicated, that time you have to use another concept, and I'm coming to that concept as the refresh apex. So what we have to do in such scenario here is we have to make a call to the wire method. Previously we have learned that our wire method will be invoked only twice. One, the component is loading. Second, the parameter is changing. Here we do not have any provision to change the parameter, right? But we know that we have inserted the record in the database. Now we have to let the Salesforce know that their cache is invalid or their cache is kind of an expired. Now they have to go and refresh their cache. How we can do that? We can do that with the help of refresh apex. We can do that with the help of refresh apex. Very important concept, folks. Many times people do get struggle that the record is getting inserted but they cannot see on the UI. So make sure that in such scenarios you have to go and use the refresh apex. With refresh apex, developers can manually refresh the data, right? With refresh apex, developers can manually refresh the data when required. So whenever you feel that you have performed the CRUD operations on the data and that CRUD operations is not replicated, so what you have to do here is you have to use the refresh apex. Now, how to use the refresh apex? Very important. First thing that you have to do here is you have to import the refresh apex from the Salesforce apex. You have to go and import the refresh apex from the Salesforce apex. Now the next thing, whatever the data that you are loading that you feel that is not updated, so what you have to do here is in the refresh apex method you have to pass that data, right? So here you have to go and pass the property. So what I am, you can see here we are getting the opportunities, right, by making an apex call. But let's say we are performing this update record operation, and after that the opportunities got updated. Now we have to load the updated opportunities on the UI. So what we have done, whatever the output that we have received from the wire decorator, like in these scenarios we do have the output available in the opportunities over amount. So what we have to do here is we have to pass that output here. So what we have to do here is we have to go and pass that output here. In this way, you can let the Salesforce know to refresh the cache. Right? Now, coming back to our scenario. So what we have to do here is as soon as we have created the record. Right, let me go down. As soon as we have created the record, now we have to let the Salesforce know that they have to go and call this method again and get the refresh list of all the incomplete tasks. Make sense? We have to let the Salesforce know that they have to make a call and get the refresh list of the incomplete task. So how we can do that? Like in the case of properties, it was very straightforward. You can directly pass the properties here. But in our scenario, we don't have the properties. What we do have here is the function. In our scenarios, we don't have a property, but what we do have here is the function. So what you have to do in such scenarios? In such scenarios, what you will do here is whatever the output that you are getting, you will first store that output in the property. Whatever the output that you are getting, you will first go and store that output in the property, and after that you will start performing the operations on it. Pay close attention how I am doing it. Okay, initially we have done it something like this, but now what I am doing here is I am taking this out from here, and here rather than putting the data error, here I am putting the result, and whatever the result that I am getting, I am storing that result in one property. So here at the class level I am defining one property here as incomplete task result. Right, here I am defining one property as the incomplete task result. So whatever the properties that I am getting, here I am populating that property here in the from the result. Whatever the result that I got, I have populated that in this property in the incomplete task result. Right, now as we have to use the data and error, what you guys have already learned the concept of destructuring in the past. So what we have to do here is we have to go and apply the concept of destructuring, and here whatever the result that we are getting, I am storing that result in the destructured form. So rest of the things will be exactly same. There is no change. Only change that I have done here is rather than I go and store the data directly here in the destructured form, I have delayed the destructure step for later. First, I am storing the result in the property, and after that, I am performing the destructuring. Same thing we will also do for the complete task as well. So what I do here is, here I am creating another property, that is the complete task result property. Right? And again, I will do the same thing. What I am doing here is, rather than I go and process that data here, here I am putting the result. Right, let me go and put that result in this property, and after that what I will do here is I will go and perform the destructuring of the result here. I will go and perform the destructuring of the result. Now it's very simple. As I said, whenever you have to perform the refresh apex, you have to follow the certain steps. You have to go and import the record, and after that you have to call the refresh apex. So refresh apex. Again, refresh apex is not coming up from the IntelliSense, I believe so. So what we have to do here is first we have to manually go and import the refresh apex. So let me go up and import the refresh apex. Let me check the syntax. Import refresh apex from Salesforce slash apex. If I am not wrong, @Salesforce slash apex. Now we have to use the refresh apex, and in this refresh apex, what we have to do, we have to pass this property. So what I am doing here is I am simply passing this property here. Again, this refresh apex method will again return the promise. So in case after the data has been refreshed, if you have to go and perform some operations, definitely you can do that by in the form of promise. In my scenario, I don't have to do anything, but in case there are some operations that you have to do, then again you can write down the then block and perform all those different operations, right? So this is the only thing that I have done by using the refresh apex. Now let me go and deploy this. Let me know, folks, if you do have any questions in the refresh apex. Okay, now let me go and refresh this one more time and we will validate whether the functionality is working as expected or not. You can see that I am getting all the tasks. Let me go and add one more task here as the task 4, and I'm putting the date as this one, clicking on the add task. You can see that the task has been created successfully and also the task has been added as well. Right? My list is also refreshed and the task is also created. Right? Now, coming toward the next functionality, like we do have here the delete button. On the click of delete button, what we have to do, we have to delete the record from the task manager, right? So here I go and perform the delete operation. Again, to perform the delete operation, which method we do have? Let me go and check that. On the delete, we do have the method as removal handler. So what I am doing here is I'm navigating to the method of removal handler from here, right? So this is the method that I have to navigate. Again, I don't have to do all these different stuff that I have done previously. What I have to do here is I will simply go and call the delete record method and pass the ID. Now here I will get the ID. Why I will get the ID here? Because you can see here in the name attribute what I have passed the record ID. So let me just rename this to record ID. It will be more logical, right? So, and now here I go and put the delete record method. Again, to perform the delete operation, we have to use the delete record. Make sure that in case you are not using the IntelliSense, you have to go and perform the import operation, right? So I am copying it from here, and in the delete record, if I again take you to the deck, what we have to do whenever we have to perform the delete record, we just have to pass the record ID. So here I am passing the record ID and handling the response. Another key thing that we have discussed in the past, delete record, the return type is always void. So you have to make sure that there is nothing in the return type. And here I go and put the, as soon as the record is deleted, again I want to show the message. So let me go and put here the show toast. And here I am passing the message here as success and putting the record deleted successfully, and let me put here the other than success, let me put here the deleted, right? In case the delete operation is failed, then we can also show the error message here by using the same one, record deletion failed, and here I am putting the error message, right? This is how we can perform the delete operation. Let's go and validate whether the deletion is working as expected or not. Also, for the troubleshooting purpose, in case it is failed, let me also go and try to log this deleted record ID, and here I'm just putting the record ID for my own validations, right? Let me go and deploy this and we'll validate the delete functionality. So let me go here. Okay, I missed one step to do it, because as soon as the record is deleted, the next thing that we have to do here is again we have to go and refresh the incomplete task list. Let's go and validate, right? But ideally we should go and do it. So for example, if I am deleting the record, you can see that we are getting the message as record deleted successfully, but this list is not refreshed. So what we have to do again to refresh that list, we have to again call the refresh apex, and in this refresh apex we have to again pass the incomplete task result. We have to again pass the incomplete task result, right? So that's how we can do. Let me go and deploy this again and we'll validate the result one more time. right? Now here, if I go and delete this, you can see that the record is deleted and my list is also refreshed. Right now, the next thing that we have to do here is, as soon as user clicked on this button, what we have to do here is we have to move the task from the incomplete task to complete task, and for that we have to use the update record method. So let me go and check what method we are using to perform the update operation, and that method name here is complete task handler. So this is the method. Again, in this method, we are calling another method, that is the refresh data. So this is the method that we are using to perform those operations. Again, for the time being, I am simply commenting everything. And what we will do here is, to perform the update record, we will use the update record method. Again, update record will also take the record input, right? If I go to the deck again, you can see that update record, again it will take the record input. Record input, it will consist of the fields, so we have to go and consist of the fields here. So let me put here, let fields is equal to, sorry, let record input is equal to, here we have to go and pass the input fields that we have to on which we have to go and perform the update operation. And let me go and define this input field here. You don't have to remember the same everything, you just have to remember how we are starting, and after that how we are building it, right? So now in this input field, again we discussed that whenever we are preparing the array to perform the update operation, the key thing that we have to populate here is the record ID. So what we will do here is, we will go and populate the record ID. Before I go and populate the record ID, I should go and import the ID field as well. So let me go and do it. Import ID field from uh, uh, from sorry Salesforce slash schema slash task manager underscore underscore c dot what is the field name that we do have is the id, right? So I am getting this id field, or importing this id field from here. Now moving towards the next part, what we have to do here is, here we have to go and prepare the input, and in the input I have to make sure that I am putting the id as well. So let me go to the update record here. uh, yeah, here. So in the input field, I am populating the id field dot field API name. And again, here also we will not be getting the index. So let me simply correct it. We will be getting the record ID. We will see while invoking what kind of parameters that we are getting. But as we are using the name parameter here, and in the name we are passing the record ID, so definitely there will be a record ID. Now the only thing that we have to populate here is the two things basically. One is the status of the completed field, right? And the status of that we have to change it to true. So let me go and put it here. Input fields is completed field dot field API name, and here I am putting that value to uh, true. And the next thing that I have to populate here in the input fields is the completed date as well, because we are sorting the data based on the completed task. So let me go and populate that date as well. Completed date field, we already have discussed in the previous session how to get the today's date, right? So again, I'm simply copying the same logic from here. Like here we are getting the today's date by default, so again I'm copying the same logic and putting it here. I do recommend folks, in case you are joining today for the first time, make sure that you go over the part 1 and then you go and follow the part 2. It will be more logical then. But definitely, in case you are interested in the concepts like wire adapter, then this session will make sense to you. right? So we have created this input fields, and in the input fields we have populated all the values based on which we have to perform the update operation. After that we are calling this method again. What it will return? It will return me the promise. So whatever the result that we are getting, I am printing that result here. So console dot log. Or let me do one thing, right? Rather than I go and perform this operation with the promise, let me do this with the async await, because somewhere in the documentation you will also see that people do use the async await to handle the promise. Again, we have already learned in the past how we can use the async await. So what we have to do here is, here we will go and use the concept of async await. So to use the async await, you have to use the async at the method name, and after that here to handle the promise you can use the await. So here I am putting the await, and the method that I have to use update record. In the update record I have to pass the record input. The next thing that I have to do here is I have to go and refresh both the types of list that I am getting. So let me go and do that. So again I am putting the await. Again I am using the refresh apex. First I am refreshing the list of an incomplete task. So incomplete task result. After that again I am using the await, and I have to also go and refresh the apex to display the complete task list, right? So this is how you can use the async. It's very simple. It looks more like a synchronous execution of the code. We are executing the one steps one after the other. So first it will execute unless and until this has been completed, right? It will hold. After this method has been completed, it will go and execute this one, and in the end when this has been completed successfully, then this will be executed, right? We also discussed that whenever we are using the async await, we do the error handling with the help of try catch block. So let's go and implement the try catch block here as well, so that in case there are any errors in any of the step, we can handle that error. So to do that, I am putting everything in the try block, and here I am putting the error, right? Now let me go and log the error. So console.log update operation failed, and here I am printing the error, right? So my refresh apex method is ready. Now let's go and check where all we are invoking this method, so that we can see whether it is working as expected or not. As I said here, then we should go and call it as the index. Record ID will be more logical. Again, you will not get any errors in case you are not changing the name, because at the end of the day it is name only, but it's a good practice to give the more logical name, right? So what we will be getting here, as soon as you perform the right click, right, we will be getting the record ID, and we are passing that record ID here, right? We are also invoking this method, the refresh data method, in the drop element handler. So as soon as user is let's say dragging it from here and putting it here, right, what we have to do, we are also executing this drop element handler method. Here again we are doing the same thing. We are getting the data from the event, right? And after that, so this is the data that we are passing. Where is that? In the second column, if I am not wrong, right? This is the data item that we are using, in which again we are sending the ID. So as I said, it will be more logical to call them as the record ID. So let me go and do that. And here again, I am putting the record ID only, right? So my refresh data will execute, and after that, my record will be updated. Also, let me go and call this toast as well, so that once everything has been done, we can see the success message. So show toast, and here I can pass the message here as success or updated. Let me pass the second parameter as record updated successfully, and third one I am passing here is the success, right? Similarly, let me go and put the error message in case of error, and here I am putting the error record updation failed, and here I am putting the error variant. Let's go and validate whether the functionality is working as expected or not. So here I go and deploy this. Let me go here, refresh the page. Folks, again, if you do have any questions, any queries, you can let me know in the comment section or in the chat section. So first, let me go and validate by checking this. Okay, somehow it is not working. That means something is breaking. So let me go to the inspect and validate what is the error that we are getting. Got in promise. Let me go to the console, complete task records. Okay, true is not defined. So it's a typo from my side. So let me go and quickly correct it. It should be in a small case. This is more correct, right? Capital it is taking as the string type or a variable. So let me go and change this, deploy this. That's where the error handling is very useful so that you will understand why your component is failing. The changes deployed successfully. Let me go here, refresh the page one more time. Let me go and click on this. Okay, still we are getting the error message, record updation failed. Let me go back and check. Update operation failed. Field does not exist, which is the wrong field that we are passing. Let me go and check. Field API name, ID field. Okay, here I not missed to put the dot field API name. Might be because of this it was failing. Because whenever we are putting the field, we have to always put the field API name. So let me deploy this one more time. Let me refresh it. This is how we always learn, right? We always make the mistakes and then come back to the code and try to correct it. So let me try this one more time. You can see that this time the record has been updated successfully and the record is moved from one area to another area. Now let me also check for the drag and drop functionality. So I'm dragging the record and putting it here. You can see that my dragging and dropping functionality is also working as expected. So let's go and perform the end-to-end testing. So here I am creating the task 1, putting the date as 25th, adding the task. You can see that task has been added successfully. My form is cleared, right? From here, we can go and delete the task, or let me go and add one more task before I go and perform the additional testing. Let me put here the task 5, adding the task. Let me add one more task, task 6, 28, add task. So let's go and try to do this one after the other. So here I'm performing the delete operation first. So if I go and delete, you can see the task has been deleted successfully, right? If I go and check this checkbox, you can see that the task has been moved from the to-do list to the completed item. And again, if I go and drag and drop, again, my task list has been updated, right? So the application is working as expected and we have completely redesigned the applications now with the help of wire adapters. Right? I hope folks you got some learning in the today's session. In case yes, make sure to like the channel, subscribe the channel as well as hit the like button. You can also follow me on these different channels as well. In case you do have any queries, any questions, please let me know in the comment section or in the chat section. Let me go and check if there are any open questions. All good. Thank you folks for joining the session. I hope it is helpful and you got some new learning. Thank you. Have a good time. Bye bye.